we say online is an influence. It's influences, whether it's influencing one person, 10 person, millions of people. It's an influence to somebody. So why do we get online and say, God help me save my marriage, even though my husband was cheating on me? He told me he didn't love me, he didn't want me. I would get up and help him. I would get up and help him get dressed, iron his clothes, and get ready to go see his side chick. Or I'm going to retire my husband because I'm going to take control of the situation and be in my masculine energy. Or I'm going to pay $10K because I'm going to pay $10K a month for a dating coach to get me a man. But we are so hyper focused on the man in our community that we make everything about the man, and instead of working on ourselves internally. Okay, y'all, I'm back with another video. Today we're going to be reacting to a podcaster by the name of Ladarius Whitfield. His channel is called My Dear Future Wifey, and we're going to be talking about a video that went viral a couple of days ago. The video is about, you won't believe what the title is, you won't believe what nearly broke the pastor's marriage, Reggie and Kelly Steels. So my channel is always about masculine and feminine energy in women. So I'm mostly going to be focused on his wife and what she's saying. So let's get started.
Or worse, through sickness and in health. I love it when I see the real tangible lived experience of a marriage that has transcended decades. So today's guest, I take it as an honor to sit down at their feet and glean from their insights. Without further ado, welcome to the Dear Future Wifey podcast. My homie, Reginald Steele, and his beautiful wife, Kelly Steele. How y'all doing?
I'm going to be stopping this video back and forth. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes, fair use. That's all it's for.
So, Reggie, take me back to that moment. You were how old? 21. 21. Mm-hmm. So you're 21 and you had some
They got married super young, 21. He was still a kid, but they say men mature slower than women, but that's, I don't know.
Activities the night before, which I always think is the craziest thing that we normalize before we get married. We normalize having the strippers. We normalize saying, hey, get your last piece before you say I do. Right. And now you're bringing that into your covenant, trying to unravel what you just did the night before you take this the most beautiful step and create a covenant with a woman, but you bringing that into it less than 24 hours prior. Why do you think that is?
You know, I think that how sometimes we're wired, even as young men, you're going to have what I call human moments.
Yeah.
Even the Bible says in Isaiah 40:30 that young men would utterly fall. Right. So
and another thing, this is just my personal opinion, but I don't think men and women should get married that young. I just don't. I don't think that either party is mature enough to handle that. I think 25 to 30, yeah. But 21, nah. But I can say maturity, sometimes when a man do get older, from what I've experienced, sometimes they still, from my experience. I'm not talking about all men, but from my experience. Some men just they maturity, so for some odd reason, stop in their 40s and their 50s. Sometimes they're the same way they was when they was 25, they was 20. They just have a mindset of a younger dude sometimes to me.
You were blessed assured that he was going to show up.
Well, before we got married, we dated in high school. And in high school, I knew that I was number one, but I knew when I met him, he told me, you're my starter, but I got other ones on the bench, And, what else would you tell me, baby?
That you my point guard.
Yes. And that you love me.
But I like them.
Right. So I was in a relationship I was okay with that as long as I was first. Mm-hmm. And there's a reason for that. I want, the women to know out there. I didn't know Jesus. I didn't, know who I was. Would you say, babe, I had no value?
No value.
I feel like with that said, it goes back to what they were both young. So some of the stuff she's saying, I can see her saying that. I used to say dumb shit about me when I was young, and I used to be. I think when you're that young, you're just maturing, and I'm saying that on both parts. Do I agree with her tolerating the stuff she did? Of course not.
You had no worth. You did not know who you were.
She has no value. I mean, she didn't have no value, no worth. The problem I have with this is not how he was when he was 21. Y'all gotta listen. 21, you're still maturing. That's why I don't agree with people getting married too young. The stuff he's saying to her, and she's laughing like, it's just not funny, because now he knows exactly what he's saying and what he's doing, and it just don't. And even Ladarius, I didn't find this episode, to me, it just wasn't good.
He said you know your self-worth.
Right. And I'm 17.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm a teenager.
Oh, she was 17. Oh, yeah, he was 21. So that does play a part in a lot of the things and why she put up with a lot of the stuff, too.
And I was preconditioned to think this way because my mother divorced my father for infidelity. And I'd always thought...
And that's something I keep stopping it because I'm just listening to some of the stuff she said. She said she was preconditioned to think that way. And I do agree with that. Because a lot of women, especially the older generation of women, I'm part of the older generation of women, we have been preconditioned as back then as a culture to accept a lot of BS that I'm so glad that my daughter don't accept, and I just don't want my granddaughter to accept. I just don't.
Just forgive him. Our family would stay together.
Oh, that's deep.
So that was not a deal breaker for me, as long as I knew about it. Now, he knows if I found out.
See, she said she was preconditioned to forgive him, just to forgive.
About it, we'd have a problem.
But if he told you in advance, you'd be okay.
Yeah.
So if he said, hey, listen, tomorrow I got this little shorty lined up. I'm going to go run through and I'm going to smash it. I'll see you the next day.
Well, he would never say that.
It was usually after the fact.
Yeah.
Hey, I had a hiccup last night. Just heads up.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You say it after the fact?
Right.
As long as he confessed prior from you finding out, you said that's cool.
Yeah.
That's okay.
In fact, before he married me, he's like, I don't know if I'll ever be faithful. And I said, that's okay. So I walked down the aisle knowing I was marrying his worst, meaning that if I were to do something, the worst would be him stepping out.
And
she went into the marriage thinking like that because first she was 17 and she said she was preconditioned to think like that.
In your marriage, were y'all faced with that?
Yes.
Absolutely.
How soon?
Oh, from the gate. Yeah. I came from, my dad had 10 kids by 6 different women.
Wow.
So I have 6 brothers, and all of us, just kind of womanizers, if you will.
Yeah.
Exodus 20 verse 5 talks about how the sins of your forefathers will visit you. Well, I'm telling you, them demons visited me.
Yeah.
The video is more about his wife, Kelly.
Of the foundation of what this podcast represents. And I honor y'all for walking in this thing called marriage.
Speaking of that, he said that. I'm reading this book, and this is an older book. It was written by 7,000 and some men. And it talks about, do men like being married? Most men say they like marriage. So what I kind of like to do on my platform is I kind of like to get insight instead of speaking for men, or, I speak on my experiences with men, but I try not to speak for men. I like reading books or getting opinions from men that's married, or different things of what's going on with them. And these are just answers of all of those of the men, what they think about marriage. And it's something in here that describes Kelly as well.
Just knew that if we could just be united, that would make a man change, but it doesn't. And plus, I needed to change also. We were two teenagers getting married, and I was looking for fulfillment. I was wanting to fulfill a void that I was missing. Of course, that void could only be filled by Jesus. I didn't know that then.
One thing about people change when they, men or women. When you're young, that's understandable. You're growing. It's a growing process as you start getting older. But when people are getting older, they're at a certain age, 30s, 40s, and they still acting immature, that's just who they're going to be.
Literally, he backslid for 5 years. Yeah. So he left this holy lifestyle back to smoking weed, drinking, chasing women. We would fight. Our house became the party house because my relationship with Jesus was attached to him. So if he went to church, I went to church. If he didn't go to church, I didn't go to church. And
I want to talk a little bit about that. She said her relationship with Jesus was attached to him. If he go to church, she go to church. If he didn't go to church, then I guess, she said she didn't go. I'm kind of paraphrasing. Her relationship to me, my opinion, was attached to a man, like I said at the beginning of the video. And there was taught behavior from her mom, and she was young. But that's taught behavior. We have taught women in our community, and it's nothing wrong. This is not no man bashing channel. It's nothing wrong with being with a man, But we have taught the women in our community to hyper fixate over the man that they with. No, don't let nobody get him. Girl, don't you let nobody get him. Oh, you gonna lose your marriage. Don't you let nobody get that man, girl.
It's a form of idol worship, which I know that now. But he was my connection to Jesus. So at that time, I was chasing with knives, trying to jump on hoods of cars, fighting women. That was kind of a common thing.
Let me stop again. She said that was a common thing. She chasing him with knives, jumping on cars, fighting women. First of all, that's masculine energy, trying to control a situation you can't control, but she was young.
We were living in Section 8 housing on food stamps, having children, and it got so crazy that one day I said, I can't do this anymore because someone's going to get hurt. Someone's going to either go to jail or get killed.
That your car was the theme
Absolutely.
song of your marriage.
No problem.
You over here jumping on hoods.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Finding him at clubs, confronting just the whole thing.
So help me understand that. So what happened to where you find yourself on the hood? He's in the car?
Or trying to leave.
Oh, so and he's in the car. He ain't with the woman.
No.
She would sometimes hide my keys and help me look for him.
When it comes to me, and I had to learn this too. I was immature when I was young, but when it comes to me, I don't try to control man. Even if I'm going through something and it's hurting me, nah, I'm not. Bye. Because he has to change and fix himself. I'm not doing all that. Let's read a little bit about the book I was talking about. I said this describes her to me. It says this is different. This is different opinions about what men think about when they're married. Some, this is one man's opinion. He says, but there are other possible explanations as to why men are frequently seeking affairs outside of marriage. The reason in many cases may not so much be anger or alienation from the marriage as the fact that after marriage, men often begin to see their wives more as mothers. A traditional marriage assumes the role that a man's mother once had. Sex in marriage may become a duty or something that is permissible only in the more traditional way. The reason why I brought that up and I said this is from listening to his conversation and how he describes her and how he says she was not his, that's later on, y'all, but I'm giving y'all a little bit what he gonna say, that she was never his preference. She's more of auntie That's what this section in this book is giving me about Kelly, how he looks at her.
And I'm not going to say God told me to stay or leave, but I felt like I couldn't leave. And I cried because I felt like I can't leave. I can't leave. And I went to bed that night and I had a dream of him preaching.
Yeah.
And I woke up the next morning. Well, first of all, you were upset that I was still home.
Yeah, because I got home. I'm like, I thought you were moving to Virginia with the 2 kids.
Right. And he said, I'm going to keep on smoking this weed and chasing these women.
Yeah.
That's what he told me. And, but I just felt like that dream could happen. I believed it. And one night, shortly after that,
she believed it because she didn't want to leave him. She was attached, hyperfixated over him.
And I felt like I was going to lose my mind. Because, you have all these moments, God's amazing because you'll have moments of clarity and then moments of complete confusion. Yeah. I was able to call on the name of Jesus. And when I called on his name, I literally felt his arms wrap around me. I just completely changed as a person. Yeah. So he would call me out my name, it wouldn't bother me because I allowed God's voice to be louder than his. And when I was going through transition of him not coming home on the weekends, not
to me, my opinion, that had nothing to do with God.
There telling me I hate you, I'll never love you, I wish I never married you. Right. I knew that life and death is in the power of the tongue through the word of God. So I would say, you will love me one day. We will have a good marriage one day. And although he would go out for weekends, I would literally help him get ready to go meet a side chick by ironing his clothes and getting him ready for the night. And these are all things I was graced to do.
She said these are all things that she was graced to do by God. Let's read some of the comments because I'm actually looking at the comments. It says, one of them says, I am sorry, but this is the worst story I have ever heard. If there's a young girl watching this, that man who is treating you like trash is not sent from God. And I totally agree. Let's see what else they saying in the comments. It says, you know how they say the devil has the Bible too. This made me think of that. That's another comment. It says here, I want black women to experience love that doesn't require being dragged through hell first. May a relationship like this never find me. I totally agree.
I would come home 2-3 days later, my clothes would be bleached. Yeah. I would find my toothbrush floating in the toilet, bleached. And so problem with a lot of people that are married or not married, they're looking more for preference over purpose. I believe that this is my purpose.
Right.
Because she really wasn't my preference.
She really wasn't my preference.
But when she opened the door at 17 years old and I was 18, and I said, oh my God. And she said, what? I said, you're my wife.
Yep.
I knew it.
Yep.
And here I am in a backslidden condition, but I knew she was my wife.
Right.
Straight up. We need people to start kind of looking more for purpose than preference.
That's right. Because I knew I wasn't his preference. My husband dated little Latina girls with long hair and big titties.
You gotta remember, I'm from Arizona.
In fact, when he first met me, he's like, you're cute, but you're a little heavier than what I'm used to. And I go, well, what are you used to? He's like, I'm used to, $1.20, $1.25. I said, well, I'm almost $2. So I don't know what to say here.
I'm almost $2. Why are you so self-aware though? How did you become that?
I guess I'm just a realist when it comes to it. I understand. It is what it is. I mean, just because I'm not his preference don't mean he's not gonna, like this. I mean, he's been coming back for 32 years.
Well, 30 to be 35 December. You add up the other years.
But some people may look at that as
something wasn't keeping him coming back. To me, she kind of forced that. She forced him to kind of, she didn't force him, but she took a lot of disrespect from her husband. And now he's older. That's what's happening now. He's older. To tell your wife you're not my preference. And she bragging, oh, he's used to little Latinos with big. It's weird. It's weird. And this is very, it's just very telling. It's very telling.
Low self-esteem.
Probably, maybe. And like you said, I had no value, had no worth. And I said that from the beginning. I said, I didn't know who I was. And I was just very, open and honest.
And I agree with that. She was only 17. But for her to sit here and talk about that like she's older too, today, it's just weird how she's just like, oh, it's okay.
About that. But I was confident that we should be together. It's very unique.
And so, a lot of stuff that y'all are saying is going to trigger a lot of women.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to look at it like, see, that's that struggle love they talking about. I don't want it.
Right.
I don't want the struggle love. I don't want to have to deal with a man that has to go through all that and me lower my standard, lower my value, lower everything that I know that I am as a woman to work through the cultivation of a man. For a man to be in this broken state, disrespectful, calling me out my name, parading women in front of me, and then I'm gonna pray for his deliverance and pray. No, God, I need the reformed man. Bring me the man that after he's been set free and delivered. I don't want that process.
They want that finished product.
So my question to you, because only you can say that.
I'm just stopping it. After this little last section, she gonna stay. I'm not gonna play the whole video. I'm actually gonna cut it off because, I mean, the video in itself is really embarrassing to me as a woman. I feel bad for her that the stuff that she's saying.
What would you, because I don't even want to say advice, how can you reframe or state, because this is your story, this is your journey.
My story.
It's your story.
Right.
Sure.
What would you say to the women that may be looking at this and saying, see, that's that nonsense they talking about?
Well, I would say that's why you're single still.
Want to catch that. So, and she said it with pride. Why are you single still? Because women don't want to grow somebody else and put up with a lot of cheating, risk on getting STDs. That's why they single. I wouldn't dare want her to teach nobody I knew anything. Nothing.
I'm sure somebody had been in your life already.
You're gonna pick the fight,
and you didn't want to give the investment for that person to become somebody, and then you lost them. Probably
somebody that's cheating on you or dogging you out is not an investment, ma'am.
Time ago. And you should have just worked with them from the beginning and just worked out the kinks and worked it out, because a man can always build. Money can always be made.
Mentally, women cannot change a man.
We built a life together, and I'm so thankful that that's what we've done, and that's why I think I value and love much, because we've built our life. And so they miss that building process because they're waiting for
it's no building process when somebody has you mentally. How can you build and think about being in your feminine woman self when your mind is racing here and there? Who he with tonight? I'ma stab her. I'ma fight her. I'ma pull him out the car. I'ma hide his keys. How can your mind build from something like that? That's the question.
I'm into it, already done. Now, I get it. Eve was put on the earth with everything done. I get it. That's why women want things to be set and done, because Eve showed up and everything was named and it was just there. Help meet for a reason. And we're supposed to help meet the need and help complete the man. I know it's going to cause a fight with that too.
Help mate is different from trying to change a man's mind. Grow his own mental, grow with it himself.
I think we've got a lot of people too today that are giving advice, yet have no experience.
Yeah,
I call that
they talk the talk, but
don't walk the walk. My husband and I were talking about, I call that the new artificial intelligence. You know, you have a lot to say, but have social media gurus. You have no experience.
You've never been married, but you got all this marital advice.
Right. So now what you're giving is a false. You're giving false statements.
So, because people giving. So you have to be married to see. Let me watch how I say this. I'm trying not to. I'm trying to be patient and not talk crazy. So just because people are giving their opinions and people are influenced by somebody else's opinions, that don't mean it's wrong. But they're actually pastoring to people. And when you look at her story, I just wouldn't want no advice from her. No.
Did you say that's the artificial intelligence?
That's true.
AI.
That's the real AI.
Let me ask you this. How did you not internalize that and say, well, maybe I can go lose some weight?
I actually started working out that
she,
week.
She lost
That
like
week.
I was like, when I saw her like a week or two later, we saw each other every day. I'm like, hey,
Did he just throw a shot at her? Oh my God, this is...
losing weight.
Yeah.
She's like, you told me I'm bigger than what you used to, so I'm making it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
And it wasn't from, so when you look at that, what was that?
She should do that for herself. And she was, what she say? She was I guess she was saying she was 200 pounds or whatever, and he was used to 120, 125. That was years ago. Now she wants to lose weight for him. How about just do it for yourself? There's nothing wrong with people being individual people. I mean, let me reword this. You can still be married, but we got to be realistic. We're individual people. Why do some women, like what she said, why she just don't do it for herself? Hyperfixated over a man. But judging the other people that's giving advice or their opinion. Just because you're not married, you're not an expert. If they're experts on marriage and how they marriage went, I don't want it. I don't want it.
You feel like that was motivated from a healthy mindset?
Of course not.
So
Of
it
course
was
not healthy minded.
approval.
Complete. It was, if this is what you want, this is what I'll give you.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't
If this is what you want, this is what I give you. You should want to lose weight for yourself. That's anybody. A man should want to lose, if he's overweight, he should want to lose weight for himself. Not the woman he with, not his girlfriend. If a woman is overweight, she should lose weight for herself, not for her man, not for her husband, not for her boyfriend. And the reason why I say that is because when you start fixating on people and trying to do things for them, you're never happy within yourself.
situation where you were starving yourself unhealthy and being bulimic or nothing, was
I
it?
wasn't bulimic, but I definitely was
Starving
starving.
herself, yeah.
I'm a big girl. Don't take much to starve.
When I met her, she was one.
Don't take much.
Don't take much.
When I met her, she was 175.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm used to 125 too.
Yeah.
She 5'6", 175, and she was the wrong color.
Right.
And I was used to
That part.
So I'm like, man, you messing up my whole flow. Because I'm going to a predominantly Hispanic and black school.
Right.
She was at the white school in our
Right.
neighborhood, which we're both graduates of 1991.
Yeah, we still
So
ended
that's
up
back
together.
Yeah.
So we know that was a God thing, but
Yeah.
So you tell me, so what made you keep coming back to her? She's not your preference.
She lived down the street.
I would always feed him.
So you saying convenience?
Very much.
I-
'Cause
listen.
I lived 30. All my other girlfriends lived 30 minutes.
She is of convenience. And I'm not laughing at her. I'm laughing at this because it's horrible. Look at Derek's face. And look, she's smiling. I feed him. Okay.
Away. She lived about 3 minutes away.
Red, this sounds terrible. Red, this is getting worse and worse
And
and
worse and worse.
But I would always feed you.
She would feed me.
He always had a meal ready.
Oh man, listen.
I said, women, you gotta feed him.
And she would give me money. She worked at Lane Bryant. I'm like, this girl.
See what I'm talking about? He would give her. This is the type of shit that I just don't want to be this type of stuff online. I don't want that influencing people I know. I don't want that influencing, especially my grandbaby. Not saying that I'm perfect. I done been through stuff with men, but I'm not gonna influence being. I'm not gonna be, even if I did take a little bit of disrespect from a man, which I have. But I'm only going to take that shit for so long before I start acting resentful towards a man and I start treating that person like he treated me.
When we would talk, we had chemistry.
We did.
She just wasn't my preference. And see, that's again, I got a lot of friends that are single right now. They're divorced, single. They want exotic.
Right.
I'm like, some of y'all need to get you an auntie.
That's right. That can make
That's a whole different conversation.
She should be able to
my
cook.
wife's like, baby, what is that supposed to mean? You said I'm auntie. I said, baby, you an auntie.
That's all right.
That's why I read that part in this book, and I said, that's how he look at her. He looks at her like a mother figure, somebody that can take care of him. He don't even look at her. I don't even know if he does. I can't even say. I was gonna say, maybe he don't realize he embarrassing his wife like that, but maybe he just don't care because she's so used to the disrespect. See, one thing I noticed, when you tolerate so much disrespect from a person, they don't even notice the little things that they're doing to you because they've been disrespecting to you so long and you've been accepting it so long. Inside you boiling, it's making you really not like that person. You treat me like shit, and I thought I started really paying attention to that. I'm going to start treating you the same way. And that's when relationships turn into turmoil and people don't want to get married. People don't want to do these things because this is openly, he's literally, because like I said, maybe because he's been doing it so long, he's openly disrespecting her. And Ladarius just laughing. He even took a shot at her about her weight. I'm about to end this video because this is it's really disheartening.